It's 2 in the morning, and your thumb is hovering over a name you swore you'd stop opening. You already know how this ends. Yet one short message lands like sunlight. The ache lifts for a second, and then you set the phone face down, feeling a little ashamed. The same question keeps circling back. Why can't I just leave? If you're asking yourself that right now, remember that you are not weak or pathetic for staying in something that won't give you a name. The less defined this relationship is, the tighter it holds you. What you're feeling has a specific shape and logic, one that comes from how our brains process unfinished things. Look at how these two endings differ. A clean breakup, painful as it is, gives your mind a door it can close. The story ends. But a situationship hands you no ending. There was never an official beginning, so you're left holding a question mark. When a pattern remains incomplete, a conversation cut off, or a maybe with no resolution, your attention snags on it. The mind treats an incomplete pattern like an open loop, circling back to it again and again, trying to reach a conclusion it was never given. Obsessing over a partner's maybe is a natural response to that search for an ending. You are experiencing your mind doing exactly what it does with unfinished things. To understand why this pull feels so physical, we have to look at the nervous system. Decades ago, the behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner ran experiments on how rewards shaped behavior. Skinner used an experimental chamber to observe how subjects responded to different reward schedules. He found that when a reward came every single time, the behavior was easy to give up once the reward stopped. But when the reward came unpredictably, never on a schedule, the behavior became almost impossible to extinguish. The subject kept trying, long after a predictable reward would have lost its pull. He called this intermittent reinforcement. This is the engine running underneath your situationship. Their attention comes in bursts, 3 days of silence, then a flood of sweetness, a week of nothing, then a 1 a.m. message. You tell yourself the warm moments are the real them, and the cold ones are just life getting busy. In reality, holding on to those breadcrumbs of affection is a textbook execution of intermittent reinforcement successfully hijacking your nervous system. This chart shows how dopamine actually functions. While it is often called the pleasure chemical, it is actually the chemical of anticipation. Notice how the levels spike not when you get the reward, but when you might. Uncertainty itself, the not knowing whether the reward will come, produces a bigger dopamine surge than the reward ever does on its own. The maybe feels stronger than the yes. This means an inconsistent, hot and cold partner generates a more feverish, anticipatory pull in your brain than a steady, devoted partner would. To your nervous system, that inconsistency provides the high it craves. Beyond the chemistry, there is the emotional machinery keeping you trapped. In 2013, psychologist Stephanie Spielman published a landmark set of studies on what she termed the fear of being single. The findings were striking. People who scored higher on this fear were less likely to end a relationship even when they were genuinely dissatisfied. They stayed in things that weren't working because the alternative, absolute solitude, felt unbearable. A situationship offers a perfect hiding place for this fear. It provides just enough contact to keep an anxious person hopeful, and just enough distance to keep an avoidant person from feeling trapped. Both instincts coexist in the undefined space. This also involves loss aversion. Human beings fear losing something far more than we are excited about gaining something. Because a situationship is built on potential, leaving feels like killing a possibility. You end up grieving a limitless dream rather than a limited reality. The fog of ambiguity allows this arrangement to survive as a defense mechanism against deeper fears. You won't make these feelings disappear instantly, but naming these mechanisms, open loops, dopamine surges, and loss aversion, creates emotional distance. You can look at the pull and finally name it for what it is. This distance is necessary because staying in the gray zone has a quiet cost. Over time, you may start to absorb a false lesson that a clear, committed love is for other people, and a maybe is all you are worthy of. Modern dating apps exacerbate this by presenting an endless stream of options. This trains the mind to always look for the next maybe, making us less willing to fully land in any one real connection. Hanging in the gray zone trains you to lower your standards, rather than keeping the hope of a real connection alive. The next time the late-night urge to text rises, recognize it as your nervous system reaching for relief. You can choose to self-soothe from the inside instead of chasing the next crumb. Get honest about what you are getting versus what you actually need. Someone who wants to stay vague when you ask for the truth has, in fact, already given you your answer. Your brain might be wired to chase unpredictable highs, but that drive doesn't have to define what you actually choose for your life. You'll understand why the steady, certain, unglamorous yes is what finally lets your heart rest. That is the thing you were really aching for all along. Not the maybe, the yes.